Hey there, it's Bobby Legs, and welcome to another episode of Bobby Legs Loves Watches. And today, you and I will be taking a look at the VERTEX M100. Now, before I jump into the specs and give you my opinion on the watches I typically do in my reviews, just a little bit of history on VERTEX as best as I know it. They were a Dirty Dozen brand. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that they were part of a group of 11 other watches, including themselves, commissioned by the British government to produce timepieces for the British military in World War II. Now, at some point afterwards, VERTEX went out of business, and it has been revitalized within the last 4 or 5 years. It is a Phoenix brand rising from the ashes. And the first reissues of the M100, it was a limited edition of around 600 watches. Now, this is information I got from a blog to watch. Perhaps the VERTEX website 4 or 5 years ago had more of an accurate information on that. But the website today does not really speak to that first initial release. Now, I believe to be eligible for purchasing one of the first 600 of these, you had to be in the military. Now, I believe also they issued or reissued an additional portion of that limited edition so that those people who originally got the piece were able to sponsor or refer somebody else to get it. That's roughly how I believe it happened. This is not like the current production model. There's some differences. I believe this is either part of the first batch of the limited edition. Maybe they went over 600, or they're part of that referral edition that went out. Anyway, great watch. Let's jump right into the specs. We have a 40 millimeter case diameter, about a 48.9 millimeter lug to lug, 10.5 millimeter case thickness, 20 millimeter lug width. You got a sapphire crystal here with AR coating. Nicely done. Brushed stainless steel case and bezel, 316L stainless steel, of course. Here we have a rubber strap, a VERTEX rubber strap. And I gotta tell you, it's one of the best rubber straps that I've ever put on wrists, and of course a clasp here. I'm a big fan lately of putting clasps on everything, deploying clasps, that is. Here you go. You see the screw down case back with the VERTEX in relief there. 100 meter water resistance, non-screw down crown, but big nice crown with aggressively knurled wind in that position there. And then in the second position, you can change the time. As you can see here, you have your hour, minute hand, and a sub-seconds at the 6 o'clock position. Before I get further into the dial, let's talk about the movement. This edition has the ETA 7001 movement, that basically a smaller pocket size movement, right? 3 hertz, 21,600 beats per hour, 42-hour power reserve. The new releases, the new editions of this watch has a Sellita 260, I believe, another manual movement Sellita. So the first iterations of the reissue, the limited ones, they had this 7001. Again, the new ones have the Sellita movement. Again, very, very nicely done with the straps here. You do get a lot of stuff here. A lot of it, what you see here, I have on the table, but you get this nice Pelican VERTEX case and a leather strap. Everything that they provide has these quick release spring bars, so you have that also with the leather strap as well as the rubber. We got 5 NATOs here, VERTEX NATOs. Very nicely done NATOs, I would say, with the VERTEX logo on the buckle. The one complaint I do have about these in particular, especially the ones that, these ones here, they're very satiny feeling. They feel great on wrist, but they feel very, silky feeling. So when you put them on your wrist and you take it off the watch, they slip. And you have to be very cognizant of that because you don't want that to slip right off your wrist and and fall and scratch up the watch and case. And I feel like if I would get this dirty, it's almost shot, right? I feel like it's just too nice. If you get a little bit dirty, it's kind of like, yikes, you just ruined a strap. Where I feel like NATOs should be, more durable and tough. And you get that feeling here with the fabric used on these right here, the Bond style NATOs. Now let's get right into the dial, because there's so many great things happening here. You have this Superluminova molded indices, right? So these are like they pop off the dial, and I'll try to get a close, tight shot for you. But it gives a level of depth and legibility that is incredible. And I love this watch for that. It's just incredibly legible. You have that lume also applied on the hour and the minute hands. The sub disc here for the sub dial for the minute track, seconds track, is slightly sunken, and it has the kind of like little record player grooves on it, the circular grooves on the sub dial here. So you have so many variations with this simple three-hander of depth on the dial that makes it very, very interesting. Minute track on the outside, the two red dots on either side of the 12 o'clock indices. VERTEX on the top, that broad arrow, the symbol of the British military issued watch right there. Swiss made at the bottom here. Let me just put this on wrist. This watch it's incredibly comfortable on wrist, especially with this rubber strap. This rubber strap is really, really great. Let me fire up the scale and get a weight on this, and then I'll put it back on wrist. Let's see here. It comes in at 100 grams, and even 100 grams on wrist. So not too heavy, and not super, super light. So you definitely feel it for sure. Again, let me put it back on wrist. Now, the one thing I would say, and I love this watch. I think it's great. Physically, the watch is awesome. The only beef I have with any of the product is the NATO being a little too nice, but so what, right? So what? That's not a big deal. You just put it on a different NATO. The price point of this watch is a little shocking at first, I would say. When this originally came out, it was at 2,500 pounds, right? British pounds. So for a field watch, it was shockingly high. That was my first impression. But once you get a little bit of the history of here and the exclusivity of this watch, especially that first release, it starts making sense. The quality of the watch, it's put together so well. The dial is fantastic. The mold on the molding of the indices really makes it pop, and it makes it pop in the evening, at night as well, because the lume is so great. And it's just a really well done piece of work here, and not too much to complain about, if at all. Nothing to complain about personally. On my 6 3/4 inch wrist, it fits great. 40 millimeter, a nice size. Even if you have a smaller wrist like 6.5, or maybe even all the way down to 6 inches. I mean, this watch will fit nicely. The lugs curve down and will hug your wrist. So do not be intimidated by necessarily the measurements of this watch, especially if you have a real small wrist or smaller wrist. But it's a great, great watch. The price tag, again, shocking at first, but then when you put all together all the pluses of this watch, and I think it's worth probably every penny of it. And I've owned this watch now for a few months, and it's a great piece. And it's nice piece to have in the collection, especially if you're into this military watch, if you're into military history, and you want to marry your watch collection to that. This is a great piece to add to your collection. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think below in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. If my channel is new to you and you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and click that bell icon to get updates when I upload new videos. I love making these videos, and I hope you like them too. And also, if you want to support the channel, please buy me a cup of coffee. The link is in the description. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.